All right, welcome back again. So let's go ahead and move forward. So today's agenda, introduction, stand-ups, and then I'm going to talk about how stand-ups are done in a different manner um, for Scrum teams and for Kanban teams. Those are the two very popular ways Agile is implemented nowadays. So I'm going to talk, and there is a subtle difference between the two because the objectives are different, the way teams work are different, and the stand-ups also are different. And some of the common mistakes to avoid. At the end of the webinar, we'll have a quiz, and winner will get a RefineM prize. And quiz, normally what I do is a quiz is from the topics or the conversation that we are going to have today. So it is not from anywhere outside or journal, but it's focused from today's conversation, and then we'll have Q&A. So it's our virtual lunch and learn session. It's on every Thursdays, and we pick up different topics, share with you, and idea is to have a conversation, and that's where I pay more focus. I would like to engage all of you in a conversation because Agile is all about conversations, and we all learn from those conversations. 518-246-6436. Okay, there is some, I have to mute all of you because somebody is, okay. All right. So do you still hear me? I did not mute myself, I guess. You can put your message in the chat. I will see the chat. And that may be a vehicle for communication. Once we get to Q&A, maybe open up the microphone. All right. So let's start with what are your expectations from this webinar? What do you want to learn? Why you are here today? So go to menti.com, what you see here, menti.com, and enter this code to get into Menti. We will use it throughout the webinar. And then you can respond to this question. You can join Menti from your phone, your tablet, or computer, whatever device you have. Use that device to answer this question. Let's see what for you are here. Ideas I can use. Very good. Very good. Excellent. Current practices. Efficiency, improve productivity, refresh. Very good. What else? Very good. Very good. Focused meeting efficiency. Okay. Wow. Okay. New ideas, updated concepts, keep stand-up, refresh, new ideas. Very good. Very good. Very good. Excellent. Let's move back. So many of you would have attended my webinars in the past, but if you are new, I am CEO and Enterprise Agile Coach with RefineM, the company that I created in December 2011. We completed 10 years in last December. It has been a great journey. We do Agile transformation coaching, project management, and process improvement consulting. And we do lots and lots of trainings, okay? PMP exam prep, ACP exam prep, leadership, whatnot. So any topic on project management, Agile, or leadership, we cover. So in last 10 years or so, we have developed more than 50 different courses, and we teach those courses, and each one of those courses is based on the real experiences and also aims to teach the real things. And we also develop products for project and agile professionals. You can use some of these products to help build up your professional career. Before this, I spent more than 20-25 years in working in agile or project management areas. So all my career is in project management, and I love it. I would like to continue doing it for a long period of time until I retire. All right. So webinars we do every month. So next webinar is what is coming up in May is Ace Your Sprint Planning. So today we are talking about stand-ups. In May, we will talk about sprint planning, because that's, I see, another area that can get benefited from the best practices. So we are going to do that on in May. So let's go back to Menti and talk about what do you think about daily stand-ups. So we go back to Menti and how important. Okay, very good. 2, 3. We don't do daily stand-ups. All right. Okay, there are a couple of you who don't do daily stand-ups, which is all right. You may not see a need for that if your work doesn't require it. Anybody else? Okay, all right. But most of you feel that it's very, very, very important. Okay. So what is a daily stand-up? Okay. At a high level, it's an opportunity for the team to discuss a project's progress and relevant items. It is designed to encourage active, short meeting. It's very active, very fast moving, but very short. Okay. So you don't have a discomfort of standing for a long period of time. Okay. So I have come across several experiences through that. And one of the experience is I started coaching a team. And so I talked to Scrum Master and I asked her, I would like to start attending your ceremonies so I know what team does in these ceremonies. And let's start with daily stand-ups. So can you please invite me for your daily stand-ups? And she said, when you want to start? I said, I'll start, tomorrow, as early as tomorrow, if today is too late. So she said, we don't have daily stand-up tomorrow. Okay. So you don't do daily stand-ups every day? No, we do only 3 times a day, 3 times a week. I said, all right, that's fine. So invite me for those. So the next one was Monday. I went to the room where the daily stand-up was running. So I saw about 8-10 people sitting across a table. There was a phone in the middle of the table. And as I attended it, I learned that there were some people on the other side of the phone. I don't know how many were there, but there were people on the other side of the phone. And that meeting ran for almost 45 minutes. So when I came out of that meeting, I said, you don't do these meetings every day, and nobody was standing up. Why you call it daily stand-ups? So that was kind of funny to say that. So she said, that is how we started. But then the meeting became longer and longer and longer. And so that was right there that the Scrum Master was not knowing how to run this 15 minutes meeting every day. And also I have seen, the stand-ups can be different for a Scrum team versus a Kanban team. So I'm going to talk about both the teams, what are the differences and what are the best practices for the team to do stand-ups. Okay, so we'll talk about first Scrum daily stand-ups. And the things that I'm going to talk about, why we need daily Scrum, duration, frequency, who facilitates, the questions, the board, how the board looks like, and how Scrum teams can use board effectively during the stand-ups. So those are the kind of things that we will cover. And the why part is very important. In all my agile coaching, I encourage teams, Scrum Master, product owners, leaders to, whatever they are doing, they need to have a very good answer of why. Why we need to do daily stand-up, why we need to have retrospective, why we are doing this, why we have to write stories, why the story should be small, and all those kind of things, right? So why behind everything, that's very important. That is how you know that what benefits it provides to you. So why daily stand-up? The very first thing, alignment towards the sprint goal. So sprint plan is created mostly every 2 weeks. And then every day you need to look at that and see, are we aligned to the sprint goal? Are we still on target? Okay. We inspect and adapt. So we say, are we on target? If we are not on target, then what we need to change to get back on target. Okay. It's not a status meeting. It is not for delivery team to communicate. It is for the delivery team to communicate with each other. So this is basically for the team. They're coming together and making sure that they are still aligned to the sprint goal. And during that process, they identify impediments or blockers. So if we are not on target, what's holding us? What is coming in our way? And that is what need to be identified. And then we may track it for resolution, but we may not resolve during this meeting. This is to make sure we are aligned. And if we have any blockers, identify those blockers. You may talk briefly about the blockers, but make sure that it is a short meeting. Duration and frequency for this, it is daily Scrum meeting, so it has to happen every day, right? Not like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It has to happen every day, and ideally at the same time and same place. Okay, same place, same time. And nowadays teams are remote, and everybody gets onto their phone or computer, and they do it at the same time and use the same Zoom, WebEx, or Teams, or whatever you're using. It is usually for 15 minutes. And I have seen some teams do it for 30 minutes. And initially I was, in the beginning, I was not in favor of that. But then I saw some logic behind it. I saw some logic behind it, and I'm going to talk about that. The 15 minutes, if it is 30 minutes, then 15 minutes are focused on work. So the 30-minute thing is divided into two parts if the teams do in 30 minutes. First minute is like a stand-up 15 minutes, very focused on work, board, cards, blockers, and all team members attend this part. It's mandatory. Okay. And if they do only 15 minutes, that's what they do, right? But if they have 30 minutes, then what they do in the second part is for discussing any of the parking lot items, or if they identified something during the call, or they identified a parking lot item, so they identify, and then the remaining 15 minutes can be used for parking lot items. Parking lot items are prioritized. So if you identified more than one, then you prioritize and start picking up from the top and discussing it. And this portion is not mandatory for everybody. If the parking lot topic needs you, then you remain there. If it doesn't need you, then you can go. So that kind of flexibility need to be there. And the reason I have seen that when the teams are remote, like particularly teams, part of the team in US and part of the team in India, they get very small amount of time every day when they can interact. And so they want to use this time, since the entire team is together, they want to use this time to talk about some of the critical things, which are not the stand-up things, but the critical issues, some of the problem, and it could be a parking lot item. So when they are together, they want to discuss it, which is okay. There is absolutely no problems about that, but it has to be very clear. There has to be a clear boundary that first 15 minutes are usual stand-up, and next 15 minutes is anything else, the parking lot item, or whatever you want to discuss. It can be all the team can be there, or whosoever is needed for that part. And that gives actually a lot of flexibility to the teams. I found that is very good, because you're not forcing everybody to attend all 30 minutes, and you are giving flexibility. If some people want to stay back and talk about, they don't have to set up another call. Maybe they have to just talk for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and they can resolve the issue or the topic that they want to talk about. So that provides a lot of flexibility. All right, moving. So who facilitates? Generally, the Scrum Master facilitates the daily stand-up, but it is not necessary. It can be facilitated by anyone. Any team member can facilitate it, or they can take turns, whatever teams decide together. But the time boxing is very important. 15 minutes means 15 minutes, and you can do that even if you're normally the Scrum teams are small teams, 5 to 9 kind of a thing. But I have facilitated the meeting where there were 20 people. They could not divide the team. That was okay, but we still have to done the daily stand-up in 15 minutes. So how I coach that team is that when you come to this call, then you should be prepared to address anything that you want to, or if you can quickly talk about what you are doing, and then if you have a blocker, so practice it, and everybody gets 30 seconds, and it can be done. It's not that it cannot be done. It can be done very well in 30 seconds. If I'm very well updated on what I'm doing, and I can communicate that. I don't have to tell stories there. It is possible, and it is doable. So if you are a Scrum Master or an Agile coach coaching your team, and it has to be very fast moving, idea is that are we aligned to our goal or not? That's the whole purpose of this, not a status call. So we need to see if everybody is aligned to that. Then there are 3 questions of the very popular questions. Scrum teams know about these questions, but I'm calling them old questions. Okay, I'm calling them old question because the latest version of Scrum Guide have no such questions. If you have not gone through that, you may may or may not know that there is a new version of Scrum Guide that came up in, I believe, in fall 2020. It has been quite some time. And I still see a lot of Scrum Masters and a lot of Scrum teams just doing these questions. So that's not necessary. You can still do it, but that's not necessary. But the three new questions that are come up is, are we on target to complete sprints? Are we aligned to sprint goal? That is what we need to ask every day. Every team member needs to respond, yes, I think from my perspective, we are on target, or I think that I may slip, or because of this, what is blocking us? That is the next one. Who can help in removing the blocker? So is it, if it is blocked, is it somebody within the team who can help? And if it is not within the team, then Scrum Master need to take it up, because Scrum Master is responsible for removing the blockers and impediments. And so that is the questions that need to be answered. Are we on target? So when the team members come, am I target for my things, as far as my things are concerned, and nothing is blocking me, or this is what is blocking me? And then you can say, maybe I think the John over there can help me, or somebody from outside the team. Okay, so I think the questions are a little bit changed, because the older questions was more focused on the work, but this was more focused on aligning toward the sprint goal. And a usual Scrum board may look like to do in progress. Sometimes teams may not have even in review column. Some teams may have in review, some teams may have even blocked kind of thing. If a ticket is blocked, then they may have a column and you move the ticket to the blocked column, so it is highlighted. But somehow the board should be, you should be able to see the board and should be able to identify the tickets that are at risk. Okay, so this is a usual Scrum board. And then how do you use Scrum board effectively? I think that is what is important. And it will be better if the Scrum board follows a value stream map. To do work done or to do doing done is a most likely mostly a task board. But if you want to use a Scrum board, then it needs to have more columns that are mapped to the activities or the flow of your story from start to finish. So that is what is preferred. If you have a Scrum board, then, or if you do not have it, then at least have a way to represent your blocked items. So that you pay attention to those blocked items. And when you start, so third point is also important here. Make sure all your work is in the board. Okay, not that if you say somebody, this particular story is sitting here in work for so many days, it's not moving. I got, I have this thing doing this for somebody, and where is that work? So all the work has to be on the board so that it can be tracked and you know what's going on. And when you start looking at your cards, look it from right to left. Most of the teams go from left to right. So, but go from right to left kind of a thing. And if you have only 3 columns, then maybe you are just looking on the work. So it may not matter much, but if you have other columns, then you can start looking from right to left. The focus is how do we close an open task rather than opening a new task. Okay, how do we close a task or a card, which may be a story, not a task, or maybe a story and task both. Okay, and when you look at those cards, look at the blocked card first. So there has to be a way to visually identify which are the blocked cards. then and where you need to pay attention, because these block cards are hindrance in a way of achieving the sprint goal. So you need to discuss those cards first, and then go to the delayed card and other cards. So even you don't have to go person by person if you have this whole board in front of you, because then you know what is going on. And some teams put a filter on the person and look at person by person, which is also okay, but the whole part of it is that you should not be discussing each and every card, but you should discuss the card in this order, what is in number 5 over here. First, talk about the block cards, look at the board block cards, and then delayed cards. So you can, if your tool allows you to find out for how many days this card is sitting in your work in progress, I think that will be wonderful. I know a lot of tools allow you to do that. And different tools do different manner. Some tools put a number on the card itself, so you can see that number. And some cards put little dots below the card. And you can see if there's dots are large numbers, then that this card is delayed. Some tools actually change the color of the card if it is sitting there for more than number of days expected. But important, block cards, delayed card, and then other cards. And based on 15 minutes, if you can only get to the block card, the purpose is resolved. The purpose is served. Review your work in progress. Make sure there are not too many cards open. So there are not too many cards open. Otherwise, if you have too many things going on, then that may slow down. If you know little law that if you have many things work in progress, then your overall time to complete things becomes more. And if you can set WIP limits for each team member, that would be great. Okay. Update your card before stand-ups. Actually, you should update them in real time. Many team members don't update their cards even at the end of the sprint. And then when they look at their burn down, that looks very weird. It goes a straight line on the top, a straight horizontal line, and then it just dips, right? So update your cards. Make sure the team members update their cards in real time, at least once a day. So that was about Scrum stand-ups, Scrum daily stand-ups. Now let's talk about Kanban daily stand-ups. And if you see here, daily is italicized. Okay, so Kanban is a much more flexible methodology than Scrum. So it doesn't say that you have to do a daily stand-up, though from my perspective, it is good to meet at least once a day as a team. But Kanban doesn't require you to meet daily. Okay, so that's why the daily is kind of a little bit italicized. So why for the Kanban teams? Now the Kanban teams don't have sprints. So they are not looking at the sprint goal, right? There is no sprint. So they are not looking at the sprint goals. But what they are looking at in these stand-up meetings is inspect and adapt the flow. Their objective is to optimize or improve the flow of work. So work is not stuck. It is continuously moving. That is what Kanban teams aim to do. So if you have a lot of items sitting in one state, that's a problem. It means your flow is blocked. You want to ease out that flow. So that's the purpose. One of the purpose is to inspect and adapt the flow, improve the flow, and identify the blockers, what are blocking the flow, and remove those blockers so that flow gets better. So that's what the Kanban teams are looking for. And their frequency is as needed. they don't have to meet every day, though it is recommended to meet every, but they don't have to. They can meet 3 times a week. They can meet 2 times a week. They can meet 3 times a 1 time a week, whatever they decide. And here again, my recommendation to the Kanban teams is that make the stand-up 30 minutes. So first 15 minutes, look at your board, similar to the Scrum board. Look at your board, and it's mandatory to attend. And the next 15 minutes are parking lot items. So that part is how we run this 30 minutes thing is the same. In the Scrum team, they are focused on how, are we achieving the sprint goal? Kanban teams are focused on, is the flow all right? Is the flow is moving smooth? Everything is moving smooth. Okay. If there are no parking lot items, then the meeting ends in 15 minutes. You don't have to be there. So you can just finish it in 15 minutes. Who facilitates? So anyone can facilitate Kanban stand-up. There is no Scrum Master in Kanban, right? There is no Scrum Master. Okay. So anybody can facilitate the Kanban stand-up, or there could be the manager of the team who can facilitate. So in Kanban, the Scrum Master is not there. The new team structure is not needed. The team can function in whatever structure the team is. They can function in whatever, and it also doesn't put a kind of guideline on number of people in the Kanban team. It says small teams, but it doesn't say like 7 plus minus 2. So it can be anything. Sometimes the Kanban teams could be larger teams, and it's okay. They have a board and they continue on that board. I coached with IBM, and there were teams that like 40, 50, 60 people working on one Kanban board, which was fine. There is no problem with that. They cannot divide their work so that they could divide, but they were structured in that way. And Kanban doesn't require to change the structure. It can have a Scrum Master and product owner and all that. In Kanban world, there should be somebody who decides what work the team has to carry out, how to prioritize the work, and product owner but it need not have a product owner per se. Somebody who is prioritizing the work. Okay, so that is about facilitation. And the Kanban board, I wanted to show you a real Kanban board that I use in my team. It has more than those 3 columns, right? It has more than those. It is our sales pipeline. Okay, so it is a sales pipeline, and so you can see there are multiple columns here. It starts from backlog to ready, then question, final proposal, approval, send, received, on hold, won, lost, and ready to archive. So very simple, but much beyond that doing done. So a Kanban board should follow a flow for each item on the board from start to finish. So in this case, what you're seeing here, these are the stickies that you see are the opportunities for us. So our sales opportunities, and each card is a sales opportunity. And then you can actually, instead of filtering this tool that we use, you can see everything together. Like you can see Sujata here, Philip 0, NK myself here. So you can see everybody's board in this visual way. You don't have to do filtering. You can do filtering too, but you can actually create swim lanes, and swim lane you can create for each person. So you can see, how many are in progress, and it tells also the numbers. So everything in that yellow is in progress. Okay, but that in progress is further divided, so you know exactly where that is. Okay, it is following the flow, right? So this is how a Kanban board should look like. This is how a Kanban team should have a board. A Scrum team normally will have, they should actually follow the flow of work for their Scrum board. The difference between a Kanban board and a Scrum board is that Scrum board is reset at sprint boundaries, whereas Kanban board is ongoing. But both should follow the flow. Both should follow the flow. So to do, doing, done is, to me, looks like a task board that I want to do this task. I'm doing it, now I'm done. So, but a workboard or a user story or any kind of work that is being carried out, it's not just one task. Rather, you may carry on multiple tasks to accomplish that story or epic, right? So what are those different tasks, or what are the things that, or how the value stream looks like? I'll use the word value stream. So how that looks like. So if you are able to do that, I think that will be very, very beneficial. So how to use Kanban board effectively? Pretty much similar, right to left. So in this board, if I were to start from here, okay, so we'll go here. These are ready to archive. Is there anything from here that need to be archived? So move that here. And then if it is something is on hold, what is holding it? So that we can follow up and see, okay, we won or we lost or whatever happened. And these are the items that proposals were sent and they were received. So what we need to do to find out, what happened on this. So why there, how can we move? So if you go from right to left, then your focus is to move it to the next column and then finally close it. If you go from left to right, then you're opening. Your focus is not on closing, rather than you're opening, okay, what work we can take. Oh, we already have so much work there. So first this work need to finish, then a new work can come. Otherwise, it will be just sitting here, not doing anything. It doesn't do any good by opening new work without closing the old one. So, and then identify blockers. This is the priority, same blocked card, delayed card, other card. And what the team in this case want to hear about a card, why a card is blocked, delayed, or at risk. That is the most important question for Kanban team. Why it is blocked, why it is delayed, or what is at risk, or what is needed to move to the next column, not close, right? What is needed to the next column? Because if every day this is asked, like what is needed to move the next column, then it will move. Okay. So it again goes from the perspective of like not in progress to done, because there may be a lot of things that may happen while the card is in progress. So identify all those activities or the states that a work item goes through and have columns for that. So you know that it is moving. Okay. All right. Some of the common mistakes that are seen from the teams doing daily stand-up. So here they are listed: not standing, sitting down. I was giving an example where it lasted for 45 minutes, not the same place. People joining late. That happens quite a lot. PO can't join, reporting to you might have already read it. So these are some of the things that need to be avoided for daily stand-ups. All right, moving on to the next one. So now let's go back to the Menti. How will you change your daily stand-up practices? So I'm going back to the Menti. So based on what you heard, based on what you observed, otherwise, how you will change your daily stand-up practices, what you will do different that you're not doing today. workboard right to left. Yeah, that's right. We'll be running this up the flagpole. Okay, all right. uh, very good. Look for common moving more complex discussion. Yeah, this is a very good thing that you can do. Then don't have discussions more than a minute on something. Do not go over time. Be proactive, right to left. Focus on an impediment. Okay, blockers. Consider using Kanban rather than, yeah, that you can decide. And both of these methods are fine. And if you want to know which method is best for you, I have a webinar on Scrum versus Kanban, which works where. So if you go to RefineM YouTube, you can find out there is a pre-recorded webinar on color coding, restructure my deliverable status. Okay, very good. Very good. Use current questions from the yeah, very good. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, let's come back to where we were. So we will be getting into the quiz. So there are 5 questions that are coming up in the quiz, and then we'll have enough time for Q&A. We'll come back to that. So let's go back to Menti and have a little quiz. So yeah, you should be joining. I would say everybody participates in this. This is going to be fun. If you have not participated in the past, this is the time you should participate. It doesn't matter whether you are you are number 1 or not, but have the fun. So part of the game is to play it. Try to win if you can, but if you don't win, still you got the the fun of participation. So we are 28 people, 14 people have signed up so far. I'll give maybe 30 seconds more if anybody would like to join. Once it starts, then if you don't log in time or don't join in time, you may lose some points. Okay, all right, so let's get started. We have 15 people here, 16. Very good, very good. Let's get started. So what you have to do, answer fast to get more points. So we are talking about Scrum daily stand-ups. Okay, so a lot of you are right. Let's see how the speed was. So Lisa seems to have responded fastest. So she's on the top. Very good. Let's move on. We go to the next question. Okay, most of you are again right. So let's see how the scores came up here. Seems like Lisa is doing really good. So Lisa is still running ahead. Okay, still most of you are right. So let's see, is anybody able to overtake Lisa? Maybe PK? No, not yet. Not yet. Actually, Cindy came to second one. Or both of you are the same. Oh, okay. Close, close contest. I talked about the Kanban stand-ups as a best practice. Okay, most of you are right. Let's say who was fast. Okay, let's Cindy overtakes Lisa, or not yet. Not yet, Cindy, a little bit. Oh, you're tied up. Okay. No, close, very close. So this is the last one. Let's say if Lisa is able to keep her lead. Very good. Most of you are right. Ooh, Cindy, Lisa, you see who emerges. Karen. Oh, wow, where from she came up. Karen, congratulations, Karen. So take a screenshot of this and email me the screenshot, and this is my email address in the chat. And send it to me and tell me what you look for as a, the price, and we'll get there. But let's take another question here. So how will you strongly recommend this session to others? I like this tool, Menti. Yeah, all of you can use this tool, Menti. This is very good tool to for remote collaboration, for quizzes, for gathering feedback, immediate feedback on certain things. Excellent, very good, thank you. And then the last one here is, what are the topics do you want to learn about in future trainings or future webinars? So if you want me to build up a webinar on certain topic that you want to learn, or you're struggling with something, then if you can put here sprint retro. Yeah, we are going to talk about that, the best practices in retrospectives. We are definitely going to cover that in one of the webinars. The next one, we are doing sprint estimating stories in a short amount of time with accuracy. Wow. Okay, we'll attempt to do that, but there's a lot of effort there. So we'll have a webinar on estimating stories, definitely. And we'll talk about how you do in a short amount of time, very short amount of time, real world examples of what is that? Real world companies successfully and their best practices. I have to go and do some research on that. But there are, Amazon is an example, is an amazing example. Getting your first Scrum Master job after getting certified CSM. Okay, yeah, I think from that perspective, I'm running a group coaching session that's free. You don't have to pay anything. I run with a partnership of PMI NC chapter. So if you are interested in joining that, if you're looking for a new job, if you want to change a job, if you want to change careers, so that's a group career coaching. And if you are interested, you can send me a message, and I will include you in that group. That group, there's a kickoff meeting happening on 8th. Oh, it's tomorrow. Yeah, there's a kickoff meeting happening tomorrow. You can find it if you go to PMI NC chapter, or just drop me an email, and I can include you this, how to overcome team resistance to Scrum and Kanban. Okay, all right. Choosing the best stand-up style for your team and organization. Okay, yeah. So we talked some of the things we talked about, the best practices. So you can see what works for your team. So I can share with you the best practices, but if you want me to recommend what type of stand-up is needed, then probably you have to share a little bit about your team. what your team does, what kind of work they do. Stand up for 100% remote team is, you have to just make sure that you use, the tools properly, and the time. I think that if the team is globally dispersed, but these are good topics. We'll cover some of these topics. Let's go back to where we were. So Karen, these are the prices that we have here. So if you can email me what you would like to have, I can send you a message. How do you get it? All right. So let's go ahead, and this is our next best practices for sprint planning on Thursday, May 19. We have a PMP exam prep coming up in June. And we have been very successful in our new PMP exam prep with the 2021 exam. So far, we have 100% success rate. Anybody who took our class and appeared for the test, they passed the test. And PMI has done a good job with all the approved training providers. We have a Tableau dashboard, and we can go and see what's going on. And from there, when I was last there, I saw all our students who appeared the exam, they passed the exam. So that was very encouraging. So this is happening in June. And if you are thinking about PMP, or anybody else is thinking about PMP, and this is how you get one PDU. And don't worry about noting down this. You can take a screenshot if you want to. And we'll send the slide deck to you, so you will get the slide deck. There are trainings coming up, and there are different trainings, as you can see, in agile and project management and leadership areas. And these are usually one-day classes if it is not certification class. Certification class runs for multiple days, but if it is not a certification class, it may probably 1 or 2 days. So that brings us to the end. We have 4 or 5 minutes here. I will unmute everybody and see. Okay, so you should be able to unmute your microphones and allow participants to unmute themselves. Yeah, okay. So let's have a question answers. You can put the questions in the chat. So Karen is saying, Karen A, I don't think I had the most point. Can you give to the next person? I don't know who was the next person there. But if Karen, if you want to do that, let me quickly go and check who was the next person there. What it says. So the next person was here, PK. So PK, Karen is saying that she would like to give to the next person. So PK, if you can send me your email, I can send you what. If Karen doesn't want to have, that's up to her. Okay, let's go back to our slide deck, and I think we have the time. So I have opened microphones. You can actually open your microphone and talk, or you can put your question in the chat. I'm looking at the chat. Any questions you have about stand-ups? Anyone has any questions? You can talk, or you can put the questions in the chat. Anything related to stand-ups? I saw some of the things were mentioned about how do you do stand-up for remote teams. Somebody put that. So basically you follow the same thing, but instead of same place, same time, you keep the same time, but then use your remote tool, Zoom or whatever you are using. And then you should have a board that you can share. So the facilitator can become the board and they can share, and you can have the very similar conversation to very similar conversation. So there is just a different way how the teams work in remote environments. So whatever way it works out. All right, anybody else has any questions? Yeah, I see somebody joined just now. Maybe they had a time issue, like time zone issue. I saw somebody just joined. So maybe they had the time, not the right time zone. All right, so that brings us to the end of the webinar. Thanks a lot for everybody joining, and I will see you in May with talking about best practices for sprint planning. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.